Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then hi, I'm MagdelineG. Today I'm going to be sewing up another one of my PDF sewing patterns, and this one is the Genevieve wrap gown. It is a stunning dress and it does fit up to a 32G. However, as you can see, it's cut quite low, so it does show off some cleavage. And the pattern on the website is marked as intermediate to advanced, so please just be aware of that when you're purchasing, and I've put the link to the pattern in the description box below. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed the tutorial, please leave a comment below. Here is the tutorial. So before I start sewing up the dress, I'm just going to show you how to lay your facing on the pattern, because the other pieces you would lay on the right side. So here I've got my facing piece facing up, and my wrong side of my fabric is also facing up, because we want the right side of the fabric to sit against our body. So you're going to lay the right side of the pattern onto the wrong side of your fabric. With the other pieces, you're going to lay your pattern pieces facing up and your right side of your fabric facing up. So I've gone ahead and I've sewn my back facing pieces together, and then I've sewn them to my front pieces at the side seams. Then I overlocked the seams, pressed them towards the back of the facing, and then I overlocked the bottom edge. Here are my back top pieces, and the middle piece is the centre back, which has been cut on the fold, and I'm placing the two side back pieces on top, right sides facing, matching the shorter edges. Then sew them together with a 1cm seam allowance and iron the seams open. And you'll have to do this twice because you've got two pairs, one for the garment and one for the lining. So here it is once it's been sewn and it's nicely pressed, and remember to also do the same on the lining. Here's your front right hand piece. This is the piece that drapes. I'm going to attach the side seam to the back side seam, right sides facing, and pin them together. Then we're going to take our left hand front piece and place it right sides facing to the back at the side seam again and pin them. And then we're going to sew both the seams and press the seams open. And again, do this to both the garment and the lining. After that, I'm making the straps. To sew the straps, fold them in half lengthways and just sew down the centre. Then turn them through with a loop turner or a safety pin and press the straps so that the seam is in the centre of the strap. Next, I've taken my front top piece and I've laid it right sides facing up, and I've placed my strap in the top corner and pinned it, making sure that the seam of the strap is also facing up. Then I've taken my lining piece, laid it on top, right sides facing, and I'm pinning them together. Then I'm matching the side seam, placing a pin. And then I need to pin the other end of the strap, make sure it hasn't twisted, and I'm placing it 1cm in from the side back seam towards the centre back, and I'm also pinning the centre back notches. Do the same with the other strap and pin the garment and the lining together, matching up all of the seams. And this is the time where you'll need to check your strap length before you sew your pieces together, making sure that they aren't too long. So turn the top to the right side and try it on and make adjustments to the straps. And on my finished dress, the straps were 32 centimeters long. Once you've checked your straps and you're happy with the length, then you can sew the top edge with a 1cm seam. When you get to the top corner where your strap is, put your needle down and lift the foot, turn your fabric and sew straight across the strap until you get to the strap edge. Then put your needle down again, lift the foot and turn the fabric, and continue sewing around the top edge. And this is what it will look like once it's turned through. So I'm just turning the top through, and then I'm going to give that top edge a good iron so that it's nice and crisp. Next, we need to fold in our pleats. So this is the left hand side of the dress and the front of the dress is facing up. You'll see on the pattern pieces that the pleat direction arrows and notches are marked as a guide. So following the pleat direction, I'm folding in my 3 pleats and pinning them. Once the pleats are pinned, then sew along the bottom edge of the top as close to the raw edge as possible to secure the pleats down and also to join the garment and lining pieces together, stopping just after the side seam on the longer front wrap piece. Here is the bottom edge. Don't worry too much about any rippling, that can be ironed out, and you can see that I've stopped just after my side seam on this long piece, and that's because I need to sew the draped piece right side facing. Here's the centre front notch and I need to match this up, so I'm turning the draped piece right side facing and I'm matching up the centre front notch and pinning. Then sew from the edge to your centre front notch with 1 cm seam allowance. Turn it back through to the right side and I need to pull out a little of that seam allowance so I can sew the top to the skirt. So I'm just going in and I'm snipping into the centre front notch to the thread, but I'm making sure I don't cut through the thread. Then I can pull out a little bit of that seam allowance, which creates a nice little step. Then you can continue that stitch at the bottom to secure the garment to the lining from the side seam to that step. Next we're going to fold in the pleats on the draped front piece, and again following the pleat direction arrows on the pattern, I'm pinning in the pleats. And the front of my dress here is facing up and the lining is facing the table. So there are 2 pleats folding upwards and the last part of the bottom folds under. Then just as before, secure these down with a stitch close to the raw edge. Once you've done this, you need to gather this piece up, which just helps to exaggerate the pleats a little bit. So do a running stitch without back stitching the end and pull one of the threads to gather the fabric. Onto the skirt. This is the right hand side skirt and it has the pleat at the top, which I've pinned in, and I'm going to stitch down to secure the pleat. Here is my back skirt and I've already sewn in my 2 back darts. Then I've placed my right hand skirt on top and my small left hand skirt piece on the other side, and I sewed them together at the side seam. Then I overlocked the seams and gave them a good iron. Here it is once it's sewn and ironed, and I added a small strip of interfacing on the left hand side of the skirt at the side seam on the wrong side, and this is because I'll be sewing on snap fasteners and you want to make sure that the strip is a few centimetres longer than your draped front edge of the top, the piece where we just gathered the pleats. So next I pin hem the skirt along the side edges and hem, and I'll demonstrate that to you in a second, but first I'm just going to show you where you need to start and stop. So this is my right hand skirt piece, the piece with the pleat at the top. And as you can see, it's already been pin hemmed, and I've started just below my waistline, the width of my facing. This is because I need to be able to attach my draped edge and my facing to this piece, so I've left it raw. And on the left hand skirt piece, which you can see here, I did the same thing, leaving enough raw edge to attach my facing. So now I'll show you how to pin or roll hem. I've cut a small piece of fabric just to show you how to do it. So first you'll iron in your 1 centimetre seam and stitch this down as close to the edge as possible, so about 2 millimeters, and sorry for the shaky camera. I'd also pin this seam down because the dress is so long and fiddly and it will help you with being accurate. Then you need to trim down your seam allowance as close to your stitch line, then fold that over and iron it again, pin it all down, and then top stitch again as close to the edge as you can get, so about 2 millimeters again. This is what it will look like once it's finished, and it's just a really nice way to finish off satin, silk and flowy fabrics. But if it's too difficult for you, then just use the 1 centimetre seam allowance that's included, overlock that edge first, then iron over your 1 centimetre seam, pin it and top stitch. Once I did that, I cut a thin strip of fabric to make 2 short ties that will tie the left hand side of the skirt to the inside of the dress, and I placed the first tie at the waist corner of the left hand side of the skirt and placed the pin. Then I've taken my top piece and matched the centre back notch to the centre back notch on the skirt, right side facing, and also remember that the draped part of the top goes on the right hand side of the skirt, so the smaller top piece is going on the smaller skirt piece. Match all of your seams and pin, and when you get to the smaller top piece, match the centre front notches on the top and the skirt and pin. And on the longer piece with the drape, you're going to match that step that we made on the top with the centre front notch on the skirt. Then take your facing piece, lay it on top, right side facing, making sure that you have the correct front facing pieces on the correct side, matching all of your seams and notches and pin them together. And on this right hand skirt piece where I left the gap, that's where I've pinned my gathered pleats, and I've pinned the drape out of the way so I don't catch it when sewing along the waist. Then I laid my facing on top and I'll sew it up that edge first and then along the waist. So here's just a wider view. Once I've pinned and attached the facing to the top of the skirt, I'm going to sew it with a 1 cm seam along the waist and down the sides of the skirt. Here is what the front edge now looks like when it's sewn up, and I'll be sewing on my 2 snap fasteners after, and now you can finish off pin hemming the side. Here's what it looks like once you turn it over to the right side, and it's looking very nice so far. It's almost finished. Then I'm turning it over to the wrong side because I forgot to add my second strap. So here I'm just going to unpick a couple of stitches at my side seam where my facing meets to make a small hole, and that's on the right hand side of the dress. Then I'm going to pop my strap in and close that hole. So please don't forget your second strap. Once I did that, I attached my 2 snap fasteners to the edge of my skirt, the piece that has the drape, then put the other side of my buttons on the outside of the dress where I put my interface in, and the dress is finished. This is what it looks like once it's complete, and you just tie up the straps on the inside, button up the outside, and it's gorgeous and lovely, ready to wear. That was the tutorial. I really do hope that you enjoyed this one. This is one of my favourite dresses on the website, so please do check out the website even if you don't make a purchase, and leave me some feedback on Instagram or below this video. And yeah, please do like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll see you next time. Bye!